Hello, this is Glen, Guyton, Executive Director of Mennonite Church USA, and I'm with a few friends here. Who do I have here?
Hi, this is Sue Parker.
Hi, I'm Linda Dibble.
All right, and we are here. We are your official representatives for Mennonite World Conference, and so we're part of the General Council meeting, and everything kicked off, last night, but today we've had our introductory sessions, and so we've spent a couple hours because there are so many new people learning really about the organizational structure, talking about the process of the meeting. And so there was a lot of good information was shared today. Sue and Linda, what would you say stood out for you today?
Well, I think what stood out for me was just to see the diversity of people that has been gathered. I think sometimes we forget that we're part of a larger church. And this, I think, gathering has reminded me that we need to zoom out and to recognize our place in our church, or in the global church.
And the thing that stood out to me was when Cesar Garcia was going through the history of Mennonite World Church, that from the vision for the whole global church from 1925 is that our church is based on Jesus, and that the goal is to be in communion or one with one another, and that we can't force another Anabaptist group to be part of Mennonite World Conference, but we would like to invite them if they would choose to join us.
Yeah, we talked a lot about unity today, and I think we, referenced a few scriptures as Jesus talked to the disciples, and we also talked about the number of churches that are a part of Mennonite World Conference. I think it was 109. It's 107 now, but I think we're trying to add a couple of more. So that was really interesting. Learn about the structure of Mennonite World Conference. There are a couple of commissions that are part of this: Missions Commission, Peace Commission, Deacons Commission, and the Faith and Life Commission. And they also mentioned Creation Care. I don't think that's an official commission yet, but I think it's something that they're working on. I think one of the things that stood out for me was just the fact that they were talking about that God is sovereign, and we need to recognize our dependence on God. That was one of the foundational things as Mennonite World Conference was started back in the 1920s. I don't know, any other reflections on that?
Well, I've noticed, when they were talking about just the makeup of Mennonite World Conference, that 52% of the membership comes from Africa, and I think 24% coming from Asia. Was really eye-opening. Again, this change from the original kind of, inception of how this vision has really changed. Even at our table, right? Our North America table, it was so diverse, and I just see that as being really exciting.
I was just going to echo that our North American table has 3 black people and 1 Asian American and 2 white people and 4 women. Mm-hmm. 1, 2, 3, 4 women and 3 men. Yeah. So the makeup of the North American contingency has changed over time.
Yeah. And I think even Linda and I had lunch with a woman from Nepal. And she was here. She wasn't a pastor, but she was a pastor's wife, and she was a part of, I think she said this is her 4th world.
This is her 4th World Conference.
Yeah. So it's just interesting. I mean, there's diversity from all over, the people that are representatives here, and just being at the table with one another. I think that's important. That's a common theme, being at the table with one another. Something that we can learn from our global partners, right? We can do a better job of expanding the table. We didn't prompt that, right? But that's part of the theme. Oh, the other thing that I noticed is that there was a reflection on what was going on with COVID. So I told Linda, I said, Linda, it's not just trouble in the U.S. as far as conflict and polarization. It's something that the church is experiencing all over the world. Linda, you have any other thoughts on that?
Well, we're all experiencing it together, so we are a community of one.
Right, it's not just the U.S. though.
Right, we're all in our global perspective facing war and COVID and pandemic and tension, racial divide, and other sorts of things that pull us apart.
Yeah.
So our goal is to figure out how to come together and be one together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also also really appreciated Nelson Crable's kind of framing this morning about what has been pruned and what are the fruit that we see through this time of COVID, right? And it really gave us really a rich time for us to understand this is a time of pruning, and this is also a time for opportunities and fruit bearing.
Yeah, go ahead. You had something else? I think that's one of the things we do too need to realize is that this pruning process and change is part of what's going on with the church globally. We often just get this mentality that it's something that's going on in the U.S., but even as you look at the early church and the conflict that they had with the I think the Greek widows not feeling like they were cared for. Stanley Green talked about that last night. But that sometimes I think in our context we try to avoid conflict or feel like, hey, the things that we're doing are divisive. But that's been a history of the church, is dealing with conflict. That's why we need the church, is because these conflicts are going to happen. We're going to have 1925. They talked about the global pandemic. This is 2022. We had a global pandemic, but the church needs to be present in the midst of that chaos to bring peace, to show that God is sovereign. So I want to tell y'all to relax, right? It's the things that are happening, not just happening to you, but they're happening all over the world. We're all in this thing together. God is in control. And I think when we step outside of our limited focus, we can see that. So that's the good part about being here. So any final words?
There was great encouragement that from the beginning of Mennonite World Conference until now, we have faced continual wars and division and things like that, and still the church is strong. And that to me was very encouraging.
I agree.
All right, still the church is strong. We're going to close out with that. Thank you all so much. This is day 2 that we're sharing with you, and I'll post a little bit of singing from last night so that you all can participate in that. But thank you all so much for joining us. And again, we're happy to share with you what's going on at Mennonite World Conference.